Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Ragland, and I'm the current Chamber President, and I welcome you all. I really appreciate you all coming out tonight. It's a very special event for our community, so again, thank you. I'd like to just keep my glasses on so I can read. But I'd like to thank Daniel Hockman, who is the beautiful music we just had here in the auditorium. I'd also like to thank the Saline Youth Council members for escorting our guests into the dining area tonight. Again, just a small reminder, please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate if you haven't already. And I'd like to introduce Larry Osterling, the Saline Area Chamber Executive Director. Larry?
Wow, it's really a pleasure to be here tonight. Do I sound enthusiastic? I hope I do, because the pressure is on tonight. My voice coach is here and she's watching every move, so put in a good word for me there. I understand the individual that was playing just now, and spoken as somebody who stopped his piano lessons in the 9th grade. Very impressive. That was Daniel Hockman. I'd like to thank him for that presentation. Where is he? He left. So, Daniel, wherever you are, we appreciate it. Let's see. As you might think, I'm the paid help. So my responsibility is to thank our sponsors. And tonight we have a major sponsor. And that is Design Hub. And I might add, this event does not happen unless we do have a sponsor. Chamber is one of the things the Chamber of Commerce does as a community event, something we do to support the community. We feel it's very important that we recognize the people that are outstanding performers in terms of volunteers and what they contribute. So it says here that I should now be quiet and introduce Chris Kamansky.
Thank you, Larry. Hopefully you're familiar with Design Hub. I'm business partners with Karen Ragland and Ted Chesky in Design Hub, and we're a creative services and marketing firm. So we help with companies with their websites, with their brand development, with their marketing plans and strategies, and so on. But you are not here to see me or hear me spiel about myself here. So I think really just what I want to say is thank you to the Chamber for giving us this opportunity to sponsor this great event. It's really inspiring to see the things that our honorees here today do. And the amazing thing about it is they're being honored, kind of like for the year. But they do these wonderful things for the community all of the time. And it just so happens that we're honoring them this year. And so again, I want to thank the Chamber for inviting us to sponsor this event, but also to thank our honorees for doing so many wonderful things for the community. Thank you very much.
The next step in my presentation is truly a pleasure. I get to introduce tonight's MC. And cutting to the bottom line, Marlena Ray. She runs a company called Radiant Communications, but what she does is she's very helpful in people making presentations and the types of things that make people effective in front of others. And I will say, with that, she's somebody that I highly respect. She's changed my life, and she changes anybody she comes in contact with. So it's indeed a pleasure for me to introduce Marlena as tonight's MC.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, we'd like to do some recognition for our contributors. And that is, first of all, thank you to the City of Saline for the generous support of this event. And this event, I don't know about you, but I got to meet new people. I got to see some people that I've met before, and it's an amazing community. Also, we'd like to thank Tom Max Photography and Spotted Dog Winery. By the way, I practiced that a whole lot. Spotted Dog Winery. Have you ever said that fast? Anyway, we'd like to thank him for hosting the honorees during their limo tour before tonight's event. So I hope that tour was wonderful, I'm sure it was. We'd like to thank Saline Flowerland for the beautiful floral arrangements. Did you notice the floral arrangements on the tables? Weren't they beautiful? We'd like to thank Saline area schools for their continued support for the use of this wonderful auditorium, and Rebecca Grant Driscoll, director of Ellen Ewing Performing Arts Center, for her production expertise. And also Tran Lombard, editor of SalinePatch.com, SalinePatch.com, for photography and media coverage. So right now, what we'd like to do is have those people who were previous award recipients, whether it's this year, last year, the year before, whatever, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Past recipients. Yes, and next we would like to recognize and say thank you to, sorry, I got anyway, is it now? We should do it now, all right. I take orders really well.
We should just make an announcement. Mary Ellis is missing tonight, so the sequence isn't quite as efficient as we would like it to be. I would really like to ask our honorees to come to the stage. So.
Honorees, please come to the stage now. Yes, we do miss Mary Alice. So, honorees, please come to the stage. Thank you very much. Right now, we'd like to also recognize and thanks to the Saline Salutes Selection Committee members. And those of you that are in that committee, if you're here, if you're not here, you can't stand. But if you're here, please stand so we can acknowledge you. Thank the Saline Salutes Planning Committee members who probably aren't here, but we would like to thank them too. So Karen, I would like you to return to the podium, please.
Well, I've lost my sheet. Isn't that fun? For those of you who don't know what Saline Salutes is about, I'll just give you a little bit of background. And, Saline Salutes started because 20 years ago, the community wanted a way to recognize the hundreds of volunteers who served the community. These people helped make Saline the great place to live, work, and play. The feeling was there should be a way every year of acknowledging those who are most outstanding in these efforts. In an attempt to come up with the process of identifying and honoring these dedicated citizens, it was felt that the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce might be the best equipped to facilitate the award ceremony. As a result, the Chamber does a few things to make this event happen. Number one, it seeks nominations from the large community, and number two, it assembles a blue ribbon panel of civic leaders to help identify whether or not these citizens are essentially that these citizens are deserving of these awards. And we look at this crowd and we know they are. Number three, we bring the same group together and they review all of the nominations. We review the criteria again, and within a few hours they decide who is most deserving within that group. Number four is that we plan this event. So tonight we have 4 of our nominees. We are missing one. You've probably heard or seen in your program that we had Stan Poet. And unfortunately, Stan is unable to be with us here this evening. He's sick. I'm not sure exactly what the status is, but I know that Larry Osterling will update us when he comes back to the stage. And Marlene, would you now take the stage and introduce the following guests. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We would like to thank Mayor Gretchen Driscoll for her service to our community. And at this time, I would like to ask Gretchen to please come to the podium for the salute to government officials.
We're really excited that y'all came tonight to help us celebrate and recognize some really outstanding citizens in our community. And as part of this, we also would like to recognize people that serve the community in a public capacity every day and have been for some people many years. So I'd like to recognize, and I'd like to ask each person to stand up and stay standing up, and then at the end we'll do a round of applause for everybody, if that would be okay. We have Congressman Tim Walberg is here somewhere. Representative Rick Olson, Representative Mark Gomet, County Commissioner Alicia Ping, former City Council member, Judge Don Shelton, and we have City Council members Dean Gearbach, Brian Morrill, Jim Peters, David Rhodes, and we also have School Board Trustees David Holden. Dustin Krasny is here representing also with Tim Walberg, if you'd like to stand up. I know you're in the community a lot. We also have, I'm not sure if John Manor is here. Is he here representing Senator Richardville? Oh, Jim Roth, I'm sorry. And I have a list here, so I figure I'm gonna miss a few people. And is John Manor or Senator Richardville here? Okay. And Todd Campbell, our city manager. Art Trapp, our downtown director. And our school superintendent, Scott Graydon. I know he's here, we saw him earlier. Okay, and then are there any other elected officials or school elected officials or school employees that are here that we need to recognize you, please? If not, could you please give all these public servants a round of applause?
At this time, I would like to invite Tim Walberg to come up, please. We would like to invite all the elected officials to please come up to the podium, please, or the stage. Okay, and we'd like to bring up Congressman Tim Walberg to do the tribute to honoring JUCO.
Thank you, and make sure I got the right tribute here. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight, especially when we honor volunteers that make the community work. And oftentimes we forget that. And so it does the community well to do this type of thing. And for the families to see also the recognition given. Because frankly, these people are probably away from home quite a bit, doing the work of the people. It's my privilege tonight to give a special tribute to Cindy Jupko. And it says here, let it be known. That's my privilege to recognize Cindy Jupko as the recipient of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce 2012 George A. Anderson Vision Award. Although Cindy's formal employment may be with Beckett and Rader Incorporated, many people are sure that she has had another full-time career as a leader of the Saline Main Street Initiative. It's plain to see that Cindy has an unwavering commitment to the growth and success of the community of Saline. She championed the cause of making Saline into a Michigan Main Street community, and her hard work has helped create unique opportunities for Saline's growth and development. Her visionary efforts have been tireless and have included pulling together a board of directors, building 4 separate teams of volunteers, and spending countless hours researching, educating, coordinating, and seeking letters of support, and probably hurting volunteers as well. In addition to her work in helping Saline become a Michigan Main Street community, Cindy also serves other organizations such as the City of Saline Business Development Association, St. Andrew's Catholic Church, the Michigan Downtown Association, the Society of Marketing Professionals, the Saline Downtown Merchants Association, and the Saline Area Historical Society. She's truly a champion for Saline. And so in special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to honor and commend Cindy Chubko. May others know of my high regard for her and my best wishes for the future. And may I also add, Adrian's loss a while back was Saline's gain. So thank you so much and congratulations. There are, I believe, 3 or 4 other tributes for you to pick up on the way out, but we figured we wouldn't load you down with more than one at a time.
At this time, we'd like to bring up Representative Rick Olson, tributes of honoree Durnan.
Thank you. This is a special tribute to Jill Durnan. Let it be known that it is a genuine pleasure to commend and congratulate Jill Durnan, who was selected as the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce's Citizen of the Year. This prestigious award is given to a volunteer who has contributed a significant amount of time to the community. Clearly, there can be no one more deserving of this coveted award than Jill. A native of Saline, Jill graduated from Saline High School and received her bachelor's degree from Western Michigan University. After graduation, Jill returned to Saline to work with her father and grandfather at Hartman Insurance Agency, a family-owned business since 1946. In 1998, Jill joined the Saline Rotary Club at the urging of her grandfather, and she has been an extremely dedicated member ever since. Her skills in organization, communication, and follow-through led her to presidency of the club twice, in 2001 and again in 2007. Some people are slow learners. For the past 6 years, Jill has served on the board of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce, and in her 5th year, she was appointed to the president of the board. She has taken an active role during her tenure and played a leading role in many subcommittees. An energetic and enthusiastic individual, Jill has continually set standards of service that epitomize the values and qualities we seek in community members. Her deep sense of pride in her hometown, which is exhibited in each task that comes her way, shows that Saline, for her, is more than a place to live. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to commend and thank Jill Durnan for her tremendous contributions of service to Saline. May she know of our esteem and best wishes for continued success. And this is signed not only as state representative, but Randy Richfield, Senate Majority Leader, and also the governor of the state, Rick Snyder. So, congratulations, Jill.
We would like to have Representative Mark Ouimet to please come up. He will be doing a tribute to honoree poet, and accepting for poet is Peg Long, and also a tribute to honoree Labuda.
Thank you. Doctor, can you come up here? This tribute is for you, and let me read it on behalf of the state of Michigan. Let it be known that generous and accommodating congratulations to you for your recipient of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce Lifetime Achievement Award. With your parents as elementary school music teachers, you studied music, played the instrument starting in 4th grade. And with that background, now you turned your sights to Central Methodist University in a music major. You taught music for 1 semester at Huntsville, Missouri, before you were drafted and joined the Army. Once discharged, you received your master's degree from the University of Illinois, later getting your doctorate program from the University of Illinois. After your retirement in the year 2002, you relocated to Saline, where you felt it was the right place to have your home and for the riches which you have brought to our community. Your New Horizon band has more than 10 musicians, and today the band has over 60 musicians, primarily made up of seniors. What this has done and what you've contributed to your community through the energy, boundless knowledge, and influence of over 900 students, and you continue to inspire people in our community. So a special tribute there be resolved to you on behalf of myself, State Representative Mark Ouimet, Senator Randy Richville, and the Governor, Rick Snyder. Congratulations for what you've accomplished. Come on up closer. This is for Stanley Poet. You're going to receive it for him. And let it be known that this is a special tribute to him for what he has done and how he has been involved in our community. Let it be known that the Community Spirit Award was presented by the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce, and Stanley has represented a long-term commitment of hard work and most deserving of the reward he will be receiving today. After moving to Saline in 1957, graduating from Saline High School in 1960, where he was active in football, track, and Future Farmers of America. After graduating from Michigan State in 1962, he first received Future Farmer of America Farmer degree in 1963. He was a key contributor as a member of the Manchester JC's, treasurer of the Washtenaw Livestock Council, and also Washtenaw County ASCS board member in the Michigan Cattlemen Association, Bridgewater Township Board of Review. After 12 years, he served as president and secretary of the Washtenaw Farm Council. He's a life member of that council. For 15 years, managed that facility. Be it a special tribute there presented to him, thanking him for all he has done in his service to the community, and it be signed by myself, Mark Ouimet, State Representative, Senator Randy Richardville, and our Governor, Rick Snyder.
At this time, we would like Commissioner Alicia Pink to please come up. This is the tribute to Honoree McCann.
Thank you. Come on up here. So this is not to take away from any of the other amazing awardees up here, but the Youth of the Year has a really special place in my heart, and I can't think of a more deserving young lady to receive this award this evening. And I don't want to get all teary, and I didn't. There's no good reason really, but I just wanted the McCann family has a special place in my heart, and you had some big shoes to fill. You have some amazing older sisters, and you know, your mom and your dad, and it's just really active community members. But if you open your program, look at this. This is amazing. So I would say that you more than filled those shoes. And I have a tribute from the county, and then you have, again, tributes from all the rest of us over there for pickup later. But whereas Washtenaw County wishes to acknowledge and pay tribute to exceptional individuals who have greatly contributed to our community, and whereas each year the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce seeks nominations for people with an outstanding record of achievement in the area, and whereas among the awards given are Citizen of the Year, Lifetime Achievement, the George A. Anderson Vision Award, and Youth of the Year.
And whereas the Youth of the Year Award recognizes individuals who have contributed a significant amount of time during the past year to one or more worthy causes, again, point you back to the insert, plenty. And whereas a senior at Saline High School, Maura McCann, is being recognized for her volunteer service in the community and leadership roles at school and in local organizations, now therefore be resolved that I, Alicia Payne, Washtenaw County Commissioner for District 3, hereby acknowledge Maura McCann for her outstanding service to the City of Saline and congratulate her on receiving the Youth of the Year Award.
We would like to have Mayor Gretchen Driscoll please come up and to present the City Chamber proclamations.
I was remiss earlier in thanking the Chamber for coordinating this event. This is a very, very special event to the community because it's our major opportunity to recognize and thank all the volunteers. So if we could give a round of applause for the Chamber. And the Chamber and the City partner together to, they do all the heavy lifting, and the City gets to sign a proclamation, which we fully support and endorse, but actually the Chamber does all the work. So I just want to make sure that everybody really recognizes that the City's a partner in this effort, but the Chamber does all the hard work. So thank you, Larry, and all the staff, and especially Mary Alice, who I know would love to be here tonight, but she had something came up, so she wasn't able to. So I'm going to just go through everybody as Commissioner Payne, I'm going to always call you Councilmember Payne, said there is a proclamation from every level of government, and the other proclamation that we have that's very similar is from the City and the Chamber. So I'm going to do these really quickly. I really appreciate the opportunity to not read them, but to say thank you to the individuals, 101, and Jill Durnan, who I will start with, who's the Citizen of the Year. Just come on up here, please. She's just been just really amazing. She's at everything all the time. I don't know how she does it, and I'd really like to thank her husband. I think we definitely need to give him a really right. Can you stand up? Please, thank you so much for she's everywhere, and she does amazing work and leadership for the city and the community. And I know your heart is here because you grew up here, and we really, really, really appreciate all your hard work. So congratulations for being city here. Dr. Joe Labuda, congratulations. I just wanted, wherever you go, we always have events in town, and we always get to celebrate with his wonderful music. And music has is very spiritual, and it lifts everybody's soul. And we're so fortunate that you have raised the level of our community music to such a higher level. And I just wanted to say we really appreciate it. I know there's some people in the audience that actually get to play. My dad actually tried to pick up the clarinet 2 years ago. He's about to be 87, and he gave up pretty quickly. So I know you have a lot of patience because it's a really great group, and it really brings a lot to the community. So thank you for sharing your love of music with our whole community. Cindy Chuko. Cindy, I get to actually introduce her later, so I just say again this award, and thank you so much for your leadership and your vision for our community. Now, Maura and I go back a few years because my daughter is exactly the same age as Maura's, and the same as what Commissioner Ping said. Congratulations. And we also have one of your sisters came to town just to help celebrate, which is totally awesome. And she was also on the youth council. And as Alicia said, the McCann family is amazingly active, and you're just fabulous. You've done so much wonderful work. And I know you were so active in our Main Street program this year, and really was the voice of the youth, and did so much fun stuff. And so we really appreciate what you've done, and wish you best of luck in college. So congratulations again.
We want to thank the government officials for being here this evening, and I invite you to go ahead and sit down with the audience. Thank you. At this time, we are going to announce the Citizen of the Year. I would like to have Becky Paskowski. Becky Paskowski. By the way, I'm Polish, I shouldn't have been able to do that. And I did it really well before. So anyway, please come to the podium.
Thank you. If I said to you tall, blonde, beautiful, and brainy, who would first come to mind? That's been my description of Jill Durnan ever since we met in 2006. While that might be at first glance and a thumbnail sketch of Jill, it does not at all describe who she is or what she's capable of. But there are many people in Saline who know that and who spoke of her in their nomination. Her nominators said of her Saline Main Street Program and Business Development Association involvement, she was one of the spokespeople at city and township presentations, as well as representing the group at local events. Jill was always willing to go above and beyond to lend a hand for the effort to become a Michigan Main Street community. She was also one of the founding members of the Music Under the Arch music series, which is now one of the Saline Main Street programs, and near and dear to my heart. Of her leadership and involvement as the past president of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce, her nominators said, she was appointed to president of the board in her 5th year on the chamber board. She has been a dedicated board member and has taken an active role in many of the subcommittees during her tenure, including Saline Salutes, Business After Hours, Grocery Raffle, Golf Tournament, Board Nominations Committee, and the HR Committee. Of her leadership and involvement in Rotary Club of Saline, her nominators said, she is currently the club administrator, bringing her skills in organization, community, and follow-through to the club. Her devotion to Rotary is deep, as evidenced by the service she has given through being a 2-time president of the club. Not many people can say that. When something needs to be done, she is the first person to jump up and say, I can take care of that. Every year she organizes the President Exchange Night, the Holiday Dinner, the Fagan Challenge, Casino Night at Summerfest, and the Saline Fair event, which means she puts together the Rotary's involvement to staff every booth, every hour, for every day of the fair. It is because of Jill's quiet leadership that we have an active and vibrant Rotary Club in Saline. Personally, as my role as Vice President of Development at Evangelical Homes of Michigan, I'd like to add that Jill served on the steering committee for the Memory Support Center Capital Campaign, and she co-led the Business and Corporate Subcommittee, which focused on support from the business sector. She was instrumental in helping to successfully complete that campaign and bring a beautiful, much-needed memory support facility to Saline. So far we've spoken a lot about why she was nominated, which is all very significant. But probably most important is what kind of a person Jill is. I'm old enough to be her mother, but she never makes me feel that way. She's like a sister and a very close friend. If I could have gone to high school with Jill, we would have hung out. And many of you probably did. I'm sure that anyone who knows her would agree that she is the real deal. She's honest, sincere, loyal, trustworthy, and dependable. And she has a great sense of humor. I consider it a true pleasure to know and share time with Jill. And finally, maybe even more important than what she has done, is what she will do in the future for Saline. She's part of our future at the City of Saline. Please help me in honoring our 2012 Saline Citizen of the Year, tall, blonde, beautiful, and brainy, Jill Durnan.
Apparently I do have to. Okay. Well, thank you, Becky. You have become one of my greatest friends here in Saline. You're the first person I thought of when I was told I had to have an introductor. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the Saline community for this great honor. First, I must say it was a surprise to find out that I had my lovely friends nominate me for Citizen of the Year. And then secondly, that I was actually selected from the great bunch of nominees. I remember as a kid delivering Meals on Wheels with my mom and taking bags of clothes and food to social services. And then after I graduated college and joined the family business, one day my grandpa just looked at me and pointed and said, "You're going to Rotary." You know, okay, he wasn't the kind of guy he argued with, so he took me to Rotary, and it kind of started my second career as a volunteer here in town. Saline Rotary, the Chamber, the Music Under the Arch, and the Saline Main Street each strive to improve Saline in different ways, and I'm honored to be a part of each one of them. Saline Rotary is very dear to me. I've been involved in that the longest. It's dear to me not only because of the memories I created there with my grandpa, but also because of all the great people that have come into my life and all the projects we've completed. Being the Chamber Board President last year showed me how important it is to support local businesses. At Hartman Insurance, we celebrated our 65th anniversary last year, and my hope is to see many more Saline businesses celebrate milestones like that. The Music Under the Arch series started out as 5 friends just wishing there was something to do in the cold winter months. And so we put our heads together and we created a concert series. And at Rotary, we have to give a fine if we plug something. So if I had my purse up here, I'd put some money up here. But our next concert's on Thursday. Thursday at Stone Arch on the 19th. And our headliner is Dick Siegel and the Randos. So if you're available, please come up. The newest group that I'm involved in, and I think the one with the most meetings, is the Saline Main Street. The focus of this effort is a strong and vibrant downtown. Growing up, I loved coming downtown with my sisters to shop at the dime store. We bought shoes at Randy's and got donuts at Benny's. And I want future generations of Salinians to create similar memories, which is why I feel Saline Main Street is so important and why I agreed to be on the board. A few months ago, after a discussion about how many meetings I attend in a typical week, a Rotarian asked me, "So insurance is your hobby?" And if you think about it, sometimes it feels like that. I'm very lucky to have a great boss, thanks Dad, who understands that when I'm late for work or take an extra long lunch, that it's for a good reason. As Gretchen said, I'm also blessed to have a great husband like Carrie, who understands why sometimes I have to get up at the crack of dawn for a meeting, or why sometimes we end up eating cereal for dinner. But being involved in different groups has brought me lifelong friends and showed me that I'm not the only crazy person out there who has a really hard time saying no when someone asks me for help. So I'd like to thank everyone here who has supported me and volunteered with me. And if I could give you one piece of advice, it would just be get out and volunteer. It could change your life. Thanks.
Next, we would like to have the Lifetime Achievement Award, and we're going to ask Judge Don Shelton to come to the podium, please.
So you all know what's going on up here. There's a little lip on the podium and everything is falling off. So I think my notes start with the last page. But let me have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Joe Labuda. You know, there's an old saying that an expert is someone who lives at least 50 miles away. Sometimes we overlook the important achievements of people right here in our own community. Tonight, we're not going to overlook one of our local citizens. As someone who was far away said, Dr. Joseph A. Labuda is one of the major figures in American music education during the second half of the 20th century. it's my pleasure to tell you a few things about this gem in our midst. Joe Labuda was born to Czech immigrant parents in St. Louis, Missouri. He was the youngest of 4 children. At 80 years old, he is still the little brother because his 2 sisters are still picking on him, even though they are 91 and 95. Joe's mother was not a trained musician, but taught Joe a love of music through singing. When his older brother, tired of taking lessons, Joe got a hold of his brother's used trumpet, and the instrument changed Joe's life. In the 8th grade, Joe became the first chair trumpet, and he never relinquished that position for the rest of his life. By the time he was a freshman in high school, he was playing professionally in a dance band where all the other band members were adults. He played at a roadhouse 2 nights a week, for which he was paid $14. He loved Dizzy Gillespie as a trumpet player, and so became known as Joe LaBebop instead of Joe Labuda. Ever the performer, Joe developed something called his Waldo the Puppet Act, in which he manipulated 2 puppets, with one conducting with one hand, and the other actually playing the trumpet with the other to the William Tell Overture. Picture the Lone Ranger by trumpet. Waldo ended up winning a local teen talent show with a $50 prize. That eventually led to paid bookings and even a nightclub act that would help support Joe as he later struggled to make his way in academia and in music. After graduating from high school, Joe attended tiny Central Methodist College, as you heard, and graduated in 1953. After college, he was hired to teach at the high school band in Huntsville, Missouri. Within a month of being hired, he got drafted for the Korean War. But at his basic training base, there happened to be an Army band. And as Joe has said, quote, I ended up fighting the Korean War in Camp Chaffee, Arizona in the band, for which he did not receive the Meritorious Service Medal. After the Army, Joe taught high school bands in communities in Missouri while he got his master's degree in music from the University of Missouri. But when he applied for a prestigious high school position in North Kansas City, another person got the job. The principal explained that the successful candidate had obtained his master's degree from the University of Michigan. And the fact that he was a graduate of a Big Ten university was the deciding factor. Well, this infuriated Joe, but unlike Waldo, Joe was no dummy. He got himself accepted at the University of Illinois, and his doctoral work there changed the trajectory of his life again. He began to focus on what it meant to be a conductor and how to best teach music to young people. His dissertation would become the foundation for the first of his extremely successful books. Joe devoted his professional life thereafter to teaching college students how to teach young people to play music. He had small college teaching stints in West Virginia, and in 1967 was offered a professorship at Wayne State University in Detroit. Joe had never even been to Detroit before, and the summer of his arrival was the summer of the Detroit riots, not caused by Joe's appointment. Joe persevered, however, and began a 34-year teaching career at Wayne that would see him become one of the most esteemed music teaching teachers in the country. His first book, Teaching Musicianship in the High School Band, was published in 1972. This is what it looked like back then. Got a picture of some young kid on the back. I'm not sure who that is. This is what the book looks like today in its current printing from 1972. The publisher later described this as, quote, the book that revolutionized the approach to band programs. It has been reissued several times. It's still used today in this form. As one expert put it, quote, this is perhaps the most important book ever written on teaching musicianship in school band. It has had a profound influence on thousands of band programs, teachers, and students. One of the teachers it affected was a high school band director that happened to be in Livonia named Roy Ernst. Joe and Roy met and began a long personal and professional friendship. Well, at Wayne, Joe shortly became the director of the entire music education program. In his years at Wayne, he wrote 3 more books, one of which, Basic Conducting Techniques, is currently in its 4th edition. He became, I'm sorry? 6th edition. Still teaching. All right. Let me try that again. It's currently in its 6th edition. Joe became, as was recently written in a professional journal, quote, a leader in the field of music education in the United States. After Joe's first wife died, he met another outstanding musician at Wayne State. He enjoyed her music so much that he married her. Well, maybe it wasn't just the music, but he married her. That marriage, to marry, would eventually have a dramatic impact on the city of Saline. Joe eventually retired as Professor Emeritus from Wayne in 2001. He had taught music for a total of 45 years, including 34 years at Wayne State. Mary's children had moved to the Saline area. Joe and Mary wanted to be nearby for grandchildren, so they moved to our community in 2003. But retirement from Wayne did not slow Joe down musically. When he came to Saline, he brought with him his trumpet to play, his desire to conduct and teach, and he even brought Waldo the puppet. Remember that old friend I told you that Joe made from Livonia High School, Roy Ernst? Well, Roy had gone on to found the New Horizons music movement in the United States and Canada. It's designed to provide opportunities for adults of all abilities to learn and to play music in a community setting. Playing trumpet in the Saline Big Band and many other local music groups was not enough for Joe. So he and Mary took their idea to start a New Horizons band to the Saline Senior Center. With minimal publicity, the first rehearsal in 2004 attracted all of 12 people. But the band started rehearsing in the leaky old courtroom at the Senior Center. But eventually they started to expand. In 2005, the band did several performances, and they've never looked back since. With community support from the Saline area schools and many other organizations, there are now over 60 members, and the Saline New Horizons Band has given over 50 performances. They even march in our downtown community parades. Well, it's kind of a senior march since they ride on a wagon, but it's a marching band. The Saline New Horizons Band really has become Saline's community band. And frankly, the band and our community owe it all to Joe Labuda. Joe is a great musician, and he is a great conductor. But more importantly, his adult life and his life here in Saline has been dedicated to teaching others and teaching teachers to bring the joy of playing music into the lives of everyone, from young children to mature adults. Tonight, it's not just for his life of achievements, but it's also for his life of service to others that we are proudly presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. Joseph Labuda. Joe?
That's overwhelming. Of course, the good judge is our webmaster, our often master of ceremonies for the band, and he's certainly been a great help to us through the years. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the distinguished members of the nominating committee who believe I deserve this honor, but I don't know. You have to know when someone named Joseph has someone named Mary at his side, something wondrous is bound to happen. And that's our Saline New Horizons band. It's just been terrific. Without Mary's help, of course, the band wouldn't be in existence. She's done a great job keeping me on the ball, and so every husband knows what I'm talking about. But it takes more than two people to make the band. After all, we have associate conductors, Dave Walter, long associated with the schools here, Tammy and Dick Schoenfeld, Grant Hemke, my former student and advisee who has been running our beginning and intermediate program and plays horn in the band. Our board of directors, you know, past and present, Marjorie Shelton, of course, Jim Gertis, Claire Bowman as the secretary, Larry Woods, J.D. Woods, and Gloria Hale, who has done a lot of work with our programs and posters. Around town, you've seen her work. The Saline Area Senior Center gave us a start. Saline Area Schools provide our home now, and Scott Graydon's been wonderful to us. Joe Freeman in continuing education, Jeff Berman in buildings and grounds has been terrific. So our hardworking band committees, especially, I'd like to point out, if I can remember and pronounce her name, Helen Lautenwasser, our head librarian who does great work. Let me thank you all. Let me thank you all in the best way I know. What do you got there, pal? This is my son, Joe. And listen, you know, the great fun. My son Joe plays piano, so, you know, the best way I can say thank you, it's corny, but here it is. A little jazz. Go.
It's on Route 66. I wanted those. Okay. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Next we have, I would like to ask Mayor Gretchen Driscoll to please come up to the podium for the George A. Anderson Vision Award.
Wow, I think my dad needed you to be teaching. That's what's the missing piece. Well, I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you to our honoree, Cindy Chupko, for asking me to speak to why she should be getting this Vision Award. Because it's pretty easy for me to speak to because I have some history with her, actually. So, I don't know, I think probably a lot of you have met Cindy because she's everywhere. She's done a lot of really great work for the community, but Cindy goes back a few years. I'm not going to go back too far, so, you know, doing downtown work and as a profession. So she started in, well, as a profession in Adrian back in the 90s. So that's far enough, is that far enough for you? Good. Okay, and she was a DDA director in Adrian, and then she was a DDA director in Garden City. And then she was the DDA and Economic Development Director in Tecumseh, which is actually where I first met Cindy Helsinki. Is that Helsinki? Is that your last name? What was your maiden name? Helinsky. See, I knew I would blow that. And so I met her because we had Mayor Exchange Day in Tecumseh, and at the time the mayor was Harvey Schmidt, I think. Does that sound right? Harvey Schmidt? Yeah. And they were doing some really cool things in Tecumseh, and I was really jealous because Tecumseh, obviously being nearby, we're always watching what our neighbors are doing. Actually, I come to find out that the current mayor of Tecumseh is also watching what we're doing in Saline. And the reason is, obviously, we're always looking for best practices, and that's what you do when you do a mayor exchange. One community goes to the other community, and that year we happened to go to Tecumseh. And that's where I met Cindy, and she was doing some really cool things. And we spent a little bit of time together talking. It's just a day there, and you know, we took off, and then they came here, and we spent, you know, we showed them around our town, and we had some things going on, but we were looking to do some more pretty, you know, interesting things. So that was my first impression with Cindy, and it was a very strong one. I obviously typoed your last name wrong. So at any rate, so that was 2001, and then so I ran into her again later because she ended up getting married to Brian Chupko, who I know is here somewhere. Could you stand up, please, Brian? Thank you. Because what his gift gave to our community was having Cindy actually living in our community. So when I first saw Cindy, I was like, because she has such a great history of working in the downtown, and she has such a spark of enthusiasm and energy that you can see every time. I'm sure all of you that have met her have seen that, you know, from the minute you meet her, and that's really why she's getting this Vision Award. Jonathan Swift said, "Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others." And I think, you know, that's the thing that Cindy has brought to our community is she can see something that maybe some of us can't see. And I know some of that is because of her experience in, you know, downtown revitalization, not only around our region, but she's done work around the state, and she is active in the National Main Street organization. So there was quite a process here, and a lot of years. So she's been a volunteer on our Business Development Association, which is like a downtown development association, and had a lot of patience. We had fits and starts of where we were trying to go in our community with our downtown. And some neat things have happened along the way, but I would say that her vision of seeing where she thought we could go was sort of, she poked at us a lot, I guess is the best way to put it, and said, you know, what about this, what about that? And sometimes I think we've talked about it a little bit, Karen and I have talked about it a little bit, she got a little bit ahead of us because she had this amazing vision. And, you know, as a leader, the amazing vision that sometimes they, you know, we're like, wait, we don't get it, we're going too fast, whatever. And she just kept bringing all this great energy and ideas and enthusiasm to the table. And actually introduced the Main Street program to Saline as an idea that we could implement. And for those of you, I think a lot of you in the audience know that that program is going to be really instrumental in the future of our downtown. And it's pretty unique in the state. We're the 17th city, and it's quite an honor to be able to get that. And the process to get to that level of being a select level is extremely, I won't almost say overwhelming. There's a lot of work. And again, thank you, Brian, for sharing. Because I don't think we would be here today without Cindy, because she's not only the visionary, but the glue. So every time there was fits and starts, it would be, okay, regroup, and keep going, keep moving forward. And I think that's really what a visionary leadership is all about, is being patient and helping people around you learn what needs to be done best. So Cindy has moved us forward in a really positive way. She was chair for several years of our BDA, and we did a lot of really cool things in the community, but we hadn't quite reached the pinnacle, which is the select level. And I think that you're going to see some amazing things coming from her energy. She spent hours and hours and hours of organizing, and I know she's going to be really frustrated with me, because we always talk about, it's about all of us contributing, and I think that's the coolest thing about Cindy. She totally gets it's about all of us contributing and bringing something to the table. But you need to have that star, that light that you're looking for, and I think Cindy persistently brings that forward in a really positive way. So she really has been very special to me personally, because we share a passion for downtowns, and she's done some really amazing things, and I know that you will see amazing things because she's sticking at it. She's not gonna, this is just the start of an amazing path for our community in Main Street. So I'd like you to all join me in thanking her for her vision and welcoming her to the stage for the Anderson Vision Award. Tell you that I did call the mayor of Tecumseh, and I'd like to read what he said. I don't know. He said prior to her employment with Beckett & Rader, Cindy Zuko was economic director. It was her idea. Has anybody been to Evans Street Station in Tecumseh? Yep. Okay. It was her idea of reinventing the city's all-fire station by adding a much-needed component to Tecumseh's downtown that produced my restaurant, Evans Street Station. I am forever in her debt, and he asked me to give you a big hug. Not only for her vision, but also for her professionalism throughout this long process. As I follow Main Street Initiative for Saline, the enthusiasm and results for this project do not amaze me. It's just what she does.
It's pretty special. Thank you. I can't believe I had to follow a horn. I used to tap dance, but that was like 50 years ago. Sorry about that. Well, when I first learned of this award, like Gretchen said, I was really, really uncomfortable, because this whole Main Street effort was about everyone, and it took this community and a lot of volunteers along with me to make it happen. I didn't go up to Lansing by myself. I didn't do that application by myself. There were a lot of people, and it would never have happened without it. So it was hard to come to that point of accepting this on my own. So we started with the Business Development Association, about 9 people, almost 2 years ago, and then worked our way to Lansing and took about 62 people up to Lansing, Henrietta Chicken and Jake the dog. And I did find out that NIST offices will never let fowl or dogs in that office again. We left quite a mess for them. But it was an incredible experience, and like I said, it took a lot of people. That same night when I learned about the award, I had this overwhelming feeling of humility when I thought about the people who worked alongside me that took the time out of their hectic lives, because they have very busy lives too. And they did it for me, and they did it to lift up another one of theirs. So that was overwhelming to think about it that way. And I'm truly honored to work with such thoughtful and caring friends. My next stage of going through to acceptance, I became very curious about who George A. Anderson was. I wanted to know everything about him. So that namesake for the award, I learned that George, Mr. Anderson, was not only a mayor and city council member of Saline, but he was also a top executive at Ford Motor Company for a number of years. He was passionate about our downtown, and he was instrumental in bringing the Ford plant here. He was instrumental in starting the hospital here. He was also instrumental in getting all of the townships and the city in as a one fire department, correct? And he was quite a visionary, and the best part about it, he was passionate about downtowns too, so I liked him. He was a great leader, businessman, and citizen. So I am very honored to be receiving this award and following in the footsteps of many of the people who have gotten this award before me. Today, I feel blessed and grateful. I'm grateful to all who gave their time and talents to help us take Route 12 to Main Street, to Saline Main Street. We did it. I'm grateful for an employer that allowed me the flexible schedule I needed to be able to make the meetings in the afternoons when they weren't in the evenings. I am blessed to have such wonderful family and friends who, a lot of them are here tonight. Thank you. And my husband, Brian, who, thank God, you're so supportive and wonderful to me. And he does things like when I say, hey, honey, I have an idea, and instead of cowarding and running the other way, he'll like build a float 2 hours before the holiday parade, things like that. And finally, thanks to the Chamber for holding events like this so that others can be inspired to make a difference in the lives of others in our community as well. Volunteering is so rewarding when we can use our passion to affect change for the betterment of our community. There's a quote that I heard a while back. I don't know who the author was, but I thought it fit. Volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections every now and then, possibly once a year. But when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community you want to live in. Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce our most illustrious Executive Director of the Chamber, Larry Osterling, to announce the Chamber Community Spirit Award.
I think Karen's going to help me with this, but we alluded before, and as you can see, Stan is not here, not by choice, I might add. And we knew this was a possibility. Stan is a great guy, and Stan's had some health issues. Frankly, he's in the middle of chemo, and things didn't go well last night. He spent the night in the emergency room. I know he could be here if he wanted to, if he could at all. He was in my office last week, we talked, and I think we're going to make sure he gets a tape of this, and he knows how much we missed him tonight, and he's in our hearts and prayers. But I don't want to be a downer. I want to be an upper on this, because Stan's a wonderful guy. But prior to that, I also want to explain a little bit about the award. Every year, and this is my 12th, I think, Saline Salutes. Every year I'm impressed by the level of people that are getting these awards. When you look at the hundreds of nominations, they don't just represent themselves, but they represent hordes of people that really represent the backbone of our community. But every year I also notice we get this growing pool of people that were really significant in their professional lives because it spilled over into a community contribution. And it had a big impact on commerce, but also the promotion of our community. And they sort of, the only word I can think of is fell through the cracks in this process of finding our outstanding volunteers because they had multiple things going and it was part of their professional lives, but yet it represented a significant and homogeneous pool of people that were out there. And it really came to mind this last year when Stan retired because he seemed to me to be the most preeminent of this pool of people. So the list grew larger and larger, and I had a thought, and I presented it to our chamber board, and they agreed that maybe we could make our own presentation that would fit in suitably with what the Salutes philosophy is. And I believe it does. This year I'm hoping that this type of award that the chamber can make will go on, and next year we'll have other people perhaps that qualify as well. I might add it is, for me too, an honor to be asked by the poet family to make this presentation. If Stan was here, I'd tell him he trusted me. I hope he feels the same way when he sees this tape. To begin with, what can I tell you about Stan Poet? Many of you already know him. If you don't, read the proclamation. And we're not proclamation readers, are we? But it's pretty darn impressive. Over 40 years, I don't think there's any board that anybody could have served on anywhere that hasn't heard Stan Poet's name having to do with something, or he was involved in some way. It was kind of hard to fit all those board participations and all those activities that he had in one proclamation over a lifetime. I'll leave the reading of that proclamation to you, and I'd suggest you take a look at it afterwards, but trust me, it's very impressive. Stan has a lifetime of serving, and he's truly an icon of what, since he isn't here, I'll call him old-time Saline. He really is old-time Saline. He has the values, the representation, people respect him. He's everything that's good about Saline. And serving, that's what his whole life was about. Well, here's some fun stuff about Stan. I could talk about resolutions and proclamations, but the fun stuff about Stan is what I find most interesting. I think I'll start with, because I spent some time in the library this week, by the way, looking up old yearbooks, and actually found an old picture of Jill Vernon, too. I should say, she looked just like she did in high school, doesn't she? But I found Stan's picture in there, and I had an overhead. I don't know if we're going to be able to show it tonight or not. Probably not, but Stan was a football player. And a great guy. This is what one classmate told me when I got hold of him. He was a big guy. He was a gentle giant, always being helpful to anyone who ever needed it. He was a star on the football team and a big lineman. What I most remember was after he knocked down any opponent, he would always stick around before going back to the huddle, going to the sidelines to make sure he helped pick up whoever he knocked down, which was generally anybody that got in his way. It really frustrated the coaches. They'd tell him, "You got to get meaner out there. This is football." But it never worked. Stan said he was just having too much fun, and he was just a little quiet sometimes about it, but he said, "I was having fun." He was also considered somewhat of a great catch by the girls in his class, or so I hear. I'm sure he's going to be glad to hear me say that. His position, this is more of a quote I heard from a classmate. His position as manager of the farm council grounds suits his personality, because he was always serving in one way or another. He was an FFA member in a big cattle farm from Bridgewater Township. He was always great to be around. He never seemed to have a rainy day. A great guy, everybody loved him. And I have a little side note story here, because some of you know Tran is filming this. Tran did an interview with Stan, I think it was last week, and you didn't have any background information about him, right? So he stopped at the chamber before his interview, and I went through this whole stuff about Stan. Great guy, great personality, da-da-da. And Tran checked it up and thanked me, and then he went on to his interview with Stan, and he kind of covered the same stuff. He said, "Mr. Poet, I am just so excited to meet you. They tell me what a great guy you've been, how nice you've been, and how wonderful you are to be around. The whole spiel." Stan quietly says, "Yep, I guess all that's true. But if you cross me, I'm going to have to kill you." That's just the way he is. He was always putting people on. He was being facetious, right? When I first met him, this was when I was in a baseball league. I was coached beforehand as to how to deal with Stan Poet, which I had never met, but he ran the couple of rounds and I needed something. He said, I was coached, he said, You'll need to know the rules. He insists on the rules being right. He insists to know that you'll be following the rules. But if you follow the rules and do things right, then things will be okay. And Stan will really like you, and you'll like him back. Just be prepared to listen to a lot of his BS after that. So I learned my lesson, and I really like Stan. There's a lot of Stan stories out there. I have a lot of them. I collected, but we're running short of time, so I won't. The only one I want to talk about is the infamous 2x4 story, which the guys out there will tell you this is absolutely true because I heard it from multiple people. But there was a time out there at the council grounds, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of activity, a lot of lifting, a lot of moving, a lot of sorting. Anyway, one day there were some kids out there helping out from training school out here. The name escapes me, but the kids were helping, and somehow a 2x4 happened to fall down, hit Stan right on the head, and kind of upset him a little bit, but he picked up this 5-foot 2x4, both ends, snaps it right in half. And one of these boys looked at it, looked at his friend, and said, "Man, I ain't messing with that guy." As manager of the Farm Council grounds, in charge of contacting, scheduling, and implementing thousands of events over 27 years, he had a big job on his hands, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of late hours, a lot of dedication that goes into doing something like that. By my count, adding things up and looking at activities over that period of time, Stan, under his watch, was responsible for a little over 6.5 million people that actually are attracted and came to our area, and that's between exhibitors, participants. And that fact alone made him big on the Chamber's radar, a big contributor. So he's a remarkable guy. If you get a chance to meet, know Stan, poet, I'm hoping he'll feel better in the next couple of weeks. We're certainly going to be watching that. But shake his hand, because he's a great guy. Let's read this plaque, but we also have coming up, Peg Lung will accept on Stan's behalf. Stan's a lifelong friend of Peg's.
Where's the plaque? That would help me.
Thank you, Larry. The state's 2012 Saline Salutes, Stan Poet, Chamber Community Spirit, by the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Peg, for accepting on behalf of the
I'm sure if Stan was here this evening, he would say thank you very, very much to the Chamber of Commerce, to the City of Saline, and the selection committee, and all of you people who have worked many, many years with him, possibly at different events, whether it was the Kiwanis, the Rotary, the Lions, the school functions out at the council grounds, anything. Stan was there to be supportive and helpful. I'm probably one person that has known him a long time. Our families were very close friends, coming from Wayne County and relocated, my father, first of all, a dairy operation to Washtenaw County, and Stan's family relocated their ranch operation to Manchester from Wayne, Michigan. So I've known him a long time as a close family friend and a wonderful person. And I think 4 words really sum him up well, and that is a hard-working community spirit. He is just so supportive, and one of those people that, you know, doesn't need to be in the front or center or getting the attention, but behind the scenes, a person that is willing to, you know, be a hard-working individual, not for the recognition, but for what it will bring to others. So thank you very much on behalf of Stan, and thank you very much for the honor.
At this time, we are going to present the Saline Youth Council presentation. And the 2012 Youth of the Year Award honors a student in grades 7 through 12 who has demonstrated outstanding leadership skills, involvement in extracurricular activities, and has volunteered to make Saline a better place for teenagers. I'd like to invite Karen Miller to the podium right now, please.
How y'all doing? Great. It is my honor to introduce to you one of the most spuntacious young ladies I've ever known. Yes, that is a new word, spuntacious. So Cindy and I both nominated Maura McCann for many reasons. The award, of course, is meant to recognize you who have initiated change to better the Saline community and those who have demonstrated sustained participation in extracurricular activities in the past few years. The Youth of the Year Award Selection Committee was most impressed with Maura's work with SAD, Students Against Disruptive Decisions, and the student group she created for students struggling with depression and anxiety. Since 2010, Maura has been involved with SAD by serving on the executive committee and by helping to write, perform, stage, and anti-bullying skits for elementary and intermediate school students. She was instrumental in raising awareness amongst the youth regarding peer involvement and coping methods for issues facing youth today. Since 2010, under the direction of the high school counselor, Maura led an initiative to form a support group for students struggling with depression and anxiety. The group provides her classmates with an avenue for seeking help with these issues. Maura's reputation as a compassionate facilitator who draws out others has encouraged 15 students to participate so far. Maura's other leadership roles in the Saline community started early on when she served on the Saline Youth Council promoting community service as a teenager. While on the council, she organized volunteers to help with community events for the youth, actively participated in lock-ins for younger kids, and was also involved in the after-school mentoring program. Maura served as a teenager with the Saline Coalition to Reduce Underage Drinking by conducting focus groups to identify what teenagers in the Saline community needed. She then helped organize events like the Teen Block Dance that is held in conjunction with Summerfest every year. Maura's other efforts as a teen role model in our community include volunteering with food gatherers, Hope Clinic, and Mott Children's Hospital. In each of these events, she has given up her time and talents to others. Some of Maura's extracurricular activities include involvement with DECA, where she collaborated with fellow business students while learning about marketing, sales, and customer service. She was recognized at the state level for her award, for her 100-page, award, which allowed her to compete at the national level. Speaking of competition, Maura has played so many sports, I'm sure I'll miss a few, but would like to recognize her for participating in soccer, track, softball, volleyball, basketball, and most recently, cheerleading. Go Maura. She has been named Athlete of the Week multiple times, so her passion for sports is evident. Last year, Maura volunteered as the student representative on Saline Main Street. In this role, she helped organize the events at the high school to create a campaign to educate and gain support from students and teachers. She then organized those high school students into a cohesive group which participated in the presentation in Lansing alongside their adult counterparts. Then she recommended that Saline Main Street be considered part of the capstone class, an elective that encourages our youth to become involved in community service. As a result, future generations of Saline High School seniors will be involved with Saline Main Street. Finally, Maura has served the St. Andrew Green community as an altar server since 6th grade, helping with the Hospitality Commission, volunteering at the annual Harvest Dinner, and assisting with the Knights of Columbus Bingo. I had the honor of being Maura's confirmation sponsor a few years back and have watched her mature into a bright, determined, goal-oriented, motivated young person today. She's high-spirited with a genuine heart that continues giving to both her community, church, and fellow students. It is my pleasure to introduce Maura McCann as this year's recipient of the Youth of the Year Award.
know my heart, and thank you so much for helping me on my faith journey. Thank you also to Cindy Chico for nominating me. It's a great honor. I really enjoyed helping you on the Main Street committee, and I look forward to putting the work into making the downtown a great place. And Jody Roberts, it's been a pleasure working with you all these years and the kids on Saline Youth Council. Definitely gonna miss you next year, but you have great kids in the program, so going strong. Also, thank you very much for selecting me to be your Youth of the Year. It's such an exciting title, and I'm so honored. From a young age, I was taught the importance of public service. Being dragged to countless soup kitchens, homeless shelters, and community events, I realized very quickly the positive advantages of helping others. The feeling when I left a volunteering job never failed to inspire me. I was always left with such a feeling of satisfaction. It felt like giving back for the blessings I've been giving, and I am a very lucky person. I think it's important to add some background at this point, for it has truly shaped the person I've become and I am becoming. Like many adolescents, I have struggled with depression and anxiety, being diagnosed at 13. Because of this severe sadness, I was unable to do anything. I did not have motivation to get out of bed, let alone do homework or hang out with friends. My grades and relationships suffered throughout this difficult time. I lost the help of few along the way, but gained the support from many more as well. These people, in one quote, helped to save my life. Tomorrow is always a better day. No matter how awful today is, we are guaranteed that the next day will always bring some ounce of hope. This kept me going. My mother would tell me this every day, praying it would somehow sink in. And one day it did. I finally realized what it actually meant and how it pertained to me. I was letting myself be controlled by my depression and feeding into the pain. The quote taught me that today can be terrible and bleak, but a bad day is all about perspective. You have a new start to every day. Tomorrow is always a new day to rebuild yourself. In this life, we can be certain that tomorrow or the next day will be better than the last. I always tell myself that it can't rain forever. The world can be a cruel place, and it can make you ask why anyone would want to live here. But through all its toils and tangles, the world is still a beautiful place. I know this now. I battled alone for a very long time, and then learned to open myself up to my parents, friends, and teachers. I learned the power of my voice and how the help I got depended on how much voice I put in. It's because of the amazing mother, father, sisters, teachers, and friends that I have that I'm alive. This is why SAD is so dear to me. The people involved in SAD at Saline helped me tremendously. SAD, which no longer stands for Students Against Drunk Driving, but rather for Students Against Destructive Decisions. It's not only helping kids with drugs and alcohol, but issues related with body image and mental illness. Mark Shuby is great with us, helping us through things as well as giving us knowledge to help ourselves. I've gotten so much out of the SAD program. My family, who has helped me through every step of the way, my mother, whom I adore, and I'm beyond thankful for, my father, who is such an inspiration to me and whom I can always depend on, and my sisters, who have been my best friends since forever. They have taught me that I'm always loved and to pursue my dreams wherever they take me. When I was younger, I was a happy-go-lucky, smart, outgoing girl that could insert herself into any conversation. Depression shaped me into a reserved, cold girl, isolating myself from everything and everyone. But moving past that time in my life, I have discovered that young girl again. But she's matured into a young lady that has a great personality, a beautiful mind, and a plethora of friends. I'd like to end by sharing one of my favorite quotes with you. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent persons and the affection of children, to earn the approbation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to give oneself, to leave the world a little better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight and supporting us, and we
want to thank everyone that came out tonight, those of you who came here to support our honorees, and thank you so much for your wonderful service. And thank you for helping this to be a successful program. Good night, everyone.
We're not quite done. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is the surprise part. We have some roses and premium taxes and quality 16 for our guest host tonight. And thank you very much, Marlene and Ray. And I'd invite you to stick around afterwards. I know there's our awardees. We're glad you're here. You sat through this presentation. And we're sort of loose afterwards, but if you want to come up and shake hands or photo opportunities, or if you want to hear another solo from Joe Labuda, anyway, thank you for coming.
This has been an SCTN production.